Hello, my name is Justin Bright, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program version 1.2.2, in which I am attempting to make Kerbals a multiplanetary species. And as you can see, we are now landing and transferring the crew over from the VTOL bus, which we sent up from Kerbin, to the Minmus shipyards. So this is going to be the base that we do a lot of our work going forward in. So it needs a pretty full staff. So I just moved over a biologist. I also have a farmer. It's a little bit hard because it doesn't actually move the... I'm kind of using the window at the bottom to see who's who. The crew listing on the bottom right to see who is who and what their profession is. Trying to figure out where my medic should go, because that's what Allison is. Probably in the colonization module? There it is. Colonization module. Excellent. Let's see, who's next? Jana Kerman. She is a miner, I think, although I'm pretty sure when I recorded this I assumed that she was a scientist, and that is not actually correct. Roly Kerman, you are a colonist. I have a couple of those. They're just here to increase the percentage of colonization, the colonization rating of this base on, well, not this base, it's actually determined by the different bodies. So having an increase of that increases your percentages of pretty much everything. It increases your yields from drills, it increases your processing capability, farming, everything. And if you get it to 500%, that is how you, quote-unquote, colonize a particular body. Slellen Kerman, another colonist. I think that's the last of those that I brought over. I think I only brought 3. But yeah, you get that to 500%, and all of a sudden habitation doesn't matter anymore. You can have almost as much or as little as you want. I think you have to have some minimum value, but yeah, drop enemy Kerman. Oh my, enemy Kerman. Drop my geologist off in the mobile workshop. But yeah, so if you have 500% colonization rating, then you can have, I think if you have a year's worth of habitation, I'm not 100% certain on that. If you have a year's worth, then you have infinite, basically. All right, we'll throw our pilot and our quartermaster in the logistics module, and that'll be it for them. But yeah, it becomes literally infinite. It just like goes on forever and ever, and you just have as much habitation as you want because the planet is nice enough to be like home. So exciting stuff. All right, so there I figured out that that was my miner, so I put them in the logistics module for some reason. And finally, Gilry Kerman, which is my actual scientist. All right, with everybody moved over, I believe now we can actually start making our start turning things on. Unfortunately, the agroponics is only working as well as I showed, about 138%, because we can't deploy things quite yet. I'll talk about that in a moment. But right now, I'm just kind of looking over everything and just checking things out. Level people up. Well, looks like we got a couple people up to level 2. Very nice. They must have been on a flight previous to this one. All right, flip on the purifier. Very nice. Start our living module. Nope, that's the colony supplies. Don't have any of that yet. Reactor is online. And start the recycler in the logistics module. That doesn't seem to work. How are we doing here? The machinery is what I'm missing. Looks like there's 0 machinery out of this, and you can't transfer by local logistics. I think the way that you do that is you shove somebody into a workshop, so we'll get to that in a moment. Alright, so I keep my machinery over in here, and we still have several thousand, so I should be able to draw from this to get that taken care of and get everything topped up. Alright, so we're moving Desley over to the workshop module, and look at that, everything's getting maintained, so it's pulling machinery out of the colony box and not filling that up. Maybe that's because it's not deployed. That's probably why, because this one's nice and full up. Very nice. Start recycler. Wow, 100% load. And also we got a little bit of money. Science and reputation. Very exciting. We've got this multi-hub that we have, and this radiator sitting on top, which is using the Ranger thermal control system, which I guess is supposed to be pretty good. But we also have, oh, better move this out of the way. Just push that a little bit in this direction. Throw the brakes on, and I don't actually care where it lands. It'll figure itself out. Alright, so now let's get these radiators extended. Very nice. We're going to need to do a lot of cooling, because that'll pull from everything else. And this is right over the drills, so we'll be pulling up minerals and silicates from here, as well as, let me get that started, minerals and silicates. Very nice. And rare metals aplenty will be coming out of this one. Rare metals being the additional type of expensive mineral that we're not bringing back because it's way denser than exotic minerals for not even as much money, so I'm not sure why I would use that. Alright, so yes, we definitely cannot get machinery into inflatables by way of auto maintenance, so we are going to have to get those inflated first. Let's see, Desley Kerman, our engineer. I think we need to try to deploy some things, because I think we should have everything that we need to do the majority of our inflatables deploying. So where are you? I can't click on the dang thing, so we're just gonna kick him out this way, and then we will fly over our lovely base, which somehow still has pretty decent frame rate. Spoiler alert, it doesn't stay that way once I get all the conversions happening, but yeah, for now things look pretty good. Alright, so we actually need to change this to a workshop, and we don't have specialized parts. Dang it. Okay, I don't know why I thought that was going to work. But yeah, there's some deployables on here that I need to switch because I apparently set them up wrong when I initially launched these modules. So all you need to change them in C2 is some material kits and specialized parts, and I just don't happen to have any specialized parts on me. So we'll see what else we can do in the meantime. So this workshop, that's, oh, okay, well, we'll deal with that a little bit later. That seems exciting. Inflatables. Yeah, nothing. It's set up right now as a material kits workshop, and I don't need multiples. I want to actually use them as efficiency parts because I believe that that's actually better mass efficient than it is to have a whole bunch of individual production lines. Alright, so this is my industrial refinery. You see this is going to be processing metals, polymers, and chemicals, and we flip those on and we are getting 145% load. We have materials coming into the base, guys. I've been working my way towards this forever and ever, and you know, it probably didn't need as much work as I put into it, but there you go. Now we are finally starting to get the intermediary materials in. So we also need more chemicals, silicon, and refined exotics. So that gives us all of the materials that we need, I believe, to make material kits and possibly specialized parts. I don't think I'm forgetting anything with that. Let's click around a little bit here. Let's see, start material kits. 290% load, we've done it. We are making material kits and we are making specialized parts. Check it out. 145% load on specialized parts. Now, that's actually fairly low, and if you look over into the right-hand window, the resources window, you see minus 0.01. So that's not exactly moving any kind of quickly. I don't know why the specialized parts load is changing. Maybe that's resource related. Maybe things are coming in. But yeah, this chain is not exactly optimized right now. Like, this is not even using 20-30% of the capacity of this base, just because not everything is deployed and the efficiency parts aren't working correctly. But we are now pushing specialized parts, which is just super cool. We don't have to send up another shipment. We can actually just create it here. Oh, I see what's happening. The thermal efficiency is increasing of the, at least in the drill parts, and I'm sure that has something to do with the input materials, because it actually has to get up to temperature for it to work properly. Alright, so I did a little bit of messing around and kind of looking at things and making sure everything's working, and if you'll look, you'll see that we are gaining resources. Everything on the right seems to be on the up and up. We are spending water and substrate metallic ore, but we are pulling things from planetary logistics, so I think in general things are working out. The most important things are we are creating material kits and specialized parts. So now I've got some science, and I went and grabbed a little bit of local science, and let's see what else we can get set up. Alright, so the last main production line that we have involves colony supplies, and that is one of the hardest and most complicated because it involves everything that we've done so far, plus organics. Organics is gained by Minty Station out here, by basically, it's the same thing as supplies, where you're creating, you take fertilizer and dirt or substrate, and water, and you do farming with it, but you have to start with organics to make more organics. So you have to have some seeds, I suppose, is what that represents. However, what I'm finding is that it produces, at least at this base, incredibly slowly, and I'm trying to figure out why. It looks like, oh wow, that must be it. We have a lot of wear on at least some of these machines. One of those had only like 100 and some machinery left, and we're running pretty suboptimally all around, so we're going to need some machinery to be able to get this fixed up and get things running as well as they could. I'm also thinking that I need to, oh, look at that, it actually changes your agricultural load if you take your seed organics out of your agricultural module. So let's get that filled up. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out exactly where my bottleneck is, and I'm betting it's just the machinery on all of these greenhouses. We'll get that set up, but it just seems to produce very slowly, and it has not filled up a single container of any sort here. Like, we only have 1,000 organics out of 8,500, and we're like even at time warp, I'm only gaining 0.05 per tick. So I'm not sure. Maybe the answer is to actually shut off some of these containers so that it pushes more often to planetary logistics. But even in all the time that I've had this base running with all these new organics farms, we haven't gotten a single push out to planetary logistics. So I may need to like build a crazy farm or increase this by something, or maybe we'll just wait. Like, I think that's the one thing that we haven't really done since I've set up these bases, is actually just sit and wait for a minute and time warp for a few weeks to let things kind of process, because colony supplies is pretty low priority at the moment. So I would call that low priority, colony supplies low priority, because what colony supplies does is it allows you to freeze the habitation timer of anybody of a certain number of Kerbals affected by the colony module. So I'm not sure if I have one on here. I may have one on this base, but I know I have one over on the shipyards. Oh, there we go. Got all the maintenance done. And that allows you to freeze the habitation timer in place. So it's an imperfect solution, but it should last long enough to increase the, the biology and the geology rating of a given place. But it requires material kits and specialized kits and organics, so it's a pretty complicated build that comes at the end of the tree, so to speak. We interrupt this base building in progress to bring you science! Or to take science away, I suppose. Yes, so I am bringing out this little science return capsule, which should have the capability to pick up some science here from both Minty Station and the Minmus shipyards, and bring that back home to Kerbin, because I am very, very close to a particular science node that I would very much like to get before I move forward with any more big builds. So we'll just drop this guy right here, and let's bring it some science. With the magic of editing, you don't have to see me bring Bob and Valentina over to Minmus shipyards to do all of the science they can and grab the science between there and here. You just get to see me bring this in for a nice and, well, not as gentle perhaps, but a landing. It is a landing in which nothing explodes, so I will call that a great success. So we'll just grab some of this science, and I did make sure to do some transmitting of what I could, as well as stuffing some of the science into the various comm labs that we have at each of our bases to get that rolling ahead of time, because this is not so much a series about going out exploring and doing science. This is about building bases, and we're pretty close to the end of the tech tree, so yeah, we just face planted directly into that. Very well done, Bob. This is not a series so much about going out and doing the exploration. This is about proving out the technologies of building and constructing bases in C2 and planting our flags on new worlds. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy doing those things and, you know, going out and doing that exploration. I love that. That's one of my favorite things. However, it's just not the focus of what we're trying to do here. That's why I've kept it as this series as simple as I possibly could. Minimum number of part packs, minimum science mods, minimum of everything. I just wanted to focus on the colonization, the base building, the construction, the in situ resource utilization. All of those things are what I want this to focus on. All right, so we are back at the Kerbal Space Center. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we can get with our 1000 science. This is the node that I've been looking for, large probes, because this has the 2.5, 3.75, 5 meter, and 7.5 meter probe cores. Everything above the 2.5 meter is from SpaceY, and they are fantastic for the goofy things that I've been doing. Like I've been kind of shoving different modules inside service bays and just jacking up the part count. So now I can just have these big probe cores. I'd also like to get this KFD 100 torch drive for reasons that I will maybe explain later. We'll find out. And also we have a whole bunch of money still from when we returned those exotic minerals. So let's get the 7.5 meter fuel tanks. We do not need that $1.5 million fund Starlifter nuclear reactor, but we do want this nuclear engine and the big quad EMU, and also some additional heavy SpaceY engines. Very nice. So we got all that. We're back down to about $1.5 million, so we're going to have to do some more exotic materials return missions. And there's still a little bit more science to be done. All right, so now this is an improvement on my old system in which I was gathering and returning exotic minerals. So previously, I had thought that I needed to actually, you know, attach a container directly and like drill the minerals out live while it was attached. A commenter on one of the previous videos informed me that you can actually use planetary logistics and manually withdraw things from planetary logistics, which just blew my mind. So what you do is if you have a destination that is not connected to any kind of local or planetary logistics, whoa, hold on, wrong way, whoa, goodness. Okay, push. All right, we're okay. Let me just get myself into a place where I can turn on the alignment indicator. Goodness gracious. But if you have a target container that is not connected to any kind of local or planetary logistics, but you're pulling from a container that is connected to planetary logistics. So if you're pushing from that planetary logistics container to the non-planetary logistics container, planetary logistics sees that as withdrawing from the planetary logistics as a demand on planetary logistics, which means that sure, hold on a second. Let's try that one more time, shall we? So yes, once again, the scenario, you have a planetary logistics container pushing to a non-planetary logistics container, and you have it and you have stuff in planetary logistics. The mod will see that as a demand from planetary logistics, which is enough to pull from that pool of resources, which means You get to pull stuff out of planetary logistics manually. So what you can do, and what this is going to do, is this is just going to push as many exotic minerals into planetary logistics as I possibly can. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands, I don't care, because I can then send something that is logistics capable and pull as much as I want. I can fill up a 5-meter container whenever is convenient to me, wherever is convenient. And look, we already have 258,000 from my other driller, which I forgot was also using planetary logistics to feed the Minmus shipyards. All right, so after all that excitement, here's a nice little calming moment as this probe that's full of science is falling back down into the ocean on a beautiful sunset on Kerbal. We have a lot going on. This has been kind of a spastic episode so far, with lots of pieces moving and lots of loose ends being tied off, but we are making some really great progress, and I figured that I would, this is as good a time as any. I wanted to mention that I'm already starting to think about what my next series might be. I'm thinking about doing my next game is also maybe going to be a YouTube series. We'll see how that goes, but I'm thinking Galileo's Planet Pack and then the same kind of colonization premise, but I want to do a little bit more of a focus on exploration, near future propulsion and all those technologies, that sort of thing. So let me know in the comments below if you would find that interesting. I'm definitely still interested in finishing this off and accomplishing my goals, which includes doing a lot of colonization of Duna. No, that only got me 220 science. I guess most of it got transmitted. Well, that's fine. But yeah, colonizing Duna we're definitely going to do, but I'm thinking about the future, you know what I mean? All right, don't think we can get any new technology nodes. All right, so let's go ahead and check in on all of my other bases. Looks like we got a good 285,000 funds out of that. So yeah, it's a decent amount that I get out of these. And looks like we're doing okay as far as supplies and everything else. But we get a decent amount of funds from the colony rewards, but I feel like it's more of a bonus on top of what I'm already earning, not enough to be really worth doing this whole kind of setting up a whole base for it that specifically. If I were to, have even more Kerbals, 30, 40 Kerbals, I don't know what it would take, but it just feels like it's not super duper worth the effort. Like, I'm not getting the huge numbers that I've been wanting, which I'm getting out of shipping back colony or exotic minerals and that sort of thing. Alright, so looks like we're doing fine over here at Minty Station as well. All of our planetary logistics pushes seem to be good. Just checking in on all of this because we may be leaving stuff for a little while. I have a couple more plans and we've got the board just about cleared, but we want to send some stuff out to Minmus. But before we do that, let's just check in one last time with the Minmus shipyards. It's been a couple of days since I last, since I was here. A couple of in-game days, like this is the same, the same play session and all that, but I did some time warping, and look at that, we have some specialized parts, about 75 in that piece, and whoa, we got 1,000 specialized parts. Holy crap, that actually went really fast. Wow, that actually went a lot faster than I thought it was going to. But yeah, we've got a decent amount of supplies, specialized parts. Just look at all these different things that we have. We have just everything that we want here, and it all seems to be working pretty well. I feel like we're getting a good net positive on all of the things that we need and all of our supply chains. I'm sure that all of the MKS veterans that are out there that are watching me do this, if any of them are in fact watching, I'm sure they're shaking their heads at the awful bottlenecks that I'm creating and the inefficiencies that I'm building directly into my system. But this is fine. This is, this is a learning experience for all of us, really, for you guys and also for me as I go through this for the first time, because I've never built anything like this before either. But yeah, now that we have some specialized parts, we can actually get everything set up that we were not able to before. So we're just checking on these. Just want to make sure that these efficiency parts are actually set up to the proper one. So crusher is what we're looking for there. Oh, looks like that's already a smelter. That's pretty good. Let's see. Get this one set up with a crusher as well, because that affects, I want to say that helps the industry. So that helps the manufacturing of like material kits and stuff like that. And so does these workshops, which I think that'll be better than having them be their individual lines. And I don't think there's any real reason to have them as workshops other than for, other than as an efficiency thing. Because we have 2 lines of material kits and 1 of specialized parts, 2 lines of machinery, 1 of colony supplies. Not sure if that's the correct, but yeah, we have 23% load right now on material kits, 23% and 11% on our metals and so forth. So let's see what happens when we get these all set up. So workshop and workshop, very nice. And deploy, we need material kits. We have tens of thousands of material kits. What are you complaining about? What is that? Oh, I turned off local warehouse. There we go. That would be why. Okay, so deploy, and it scavenges that. Beautiful. Excellent. Deploy. All right. So that's all set up there. Radiator's on. This thing's already set up as a workshop. That's what we're looking for. Can that do anything else? Nope, just material kits and machinery. That's it. All right, so let's get this workbench, flip that on. Oh, we're missing machinery. That's right, we need to get our intrepid engineer back inside. All right, you can actually just jump right in through this hatch right here, can't you? I think that should work out. Go ahead and board. And automated maintenance has begun, and that should pull the machinery from the colony box and not into here. Why not? What have I done wrong? Do I not have enough machinery? It is actually entirely possible. Start machinery. Well, we can make machinery out of material kits and specialized parts. Haha! So that will do what we need to do as far as that. We have a 300% load on machinery, and that should, in fact, with someone put inside the workshop doing automated maintenance, that should actually distribute the machinery out so that we, gain efficiency as we go. All right, one last, well, not the last thing, but one more thing that we need to get done is we need to flip these over to Greenhausen. Go ahead and deploy that. Switch to greenhouse, please, and deploy. Beautiful. So that should give us the food production that we need to actually make sure that nobody dies. Because that would be a huge tragedy if we got all this set up and then had the crew starve because I forgot to do things properly. All right, so get over there. Get back to doing your maintenance of your 0.0001 machinery, I think, that was lost. Start greenhouse. Start greenhouse. Not that it matters much because I don't actually have the machinery, as I thought, to run everything at 100%. So that's something that we will be building over time. Okay, so unfortunately, I was really hoping that I was going to get to the construction of some new bits in this episode, but apparently there was a lot of dinking around with all these little bits and pieces and making sure everything was working properly and getting things set up and pressing all the buttons. It's very exciting. I really enjoy pressing all these new buttons and looking at things and making sure that everything is working as it should, because this is the meat of the MKS mod right here. It's like this is what I've been building towards, is getting this whole thing set up and all these production chains. It's super satisfying. So, in the next episode, we're going to be getting to actually doing some construction in situ, which should be pretty exciting. If you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead, give me a like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and I will see you next time.